And welcome once again to RWR Plays TEW 2020. This is the final, absolutely final episode of our 2001 season. We're going to look at the wider game world as it stands at the beginning of 2002. And the next episode will be the first one for 2002. And I guess the first thing to address are the end of year awards, which you can see on the screen right now. We've got The Rock being declared Wrestler of the Year, which we already knew after the end of the Starrcade episode because it came up on the screen immediately. But WWF have been pretty dominant in these end of year awards. They won Company of the Year here as well. Team of the Year came from WWF. It was Dangerous by Design, Raven and William Regal's Oddball Tag Team. Match of the year was from Raw in May between Steve Austin and Chris Jericho. Unsurprising that them two would have a match quality that would put them in match of the year. Show of the year was the King of the Ring in 2001. Can we double click on this? No, not right now. Maybe I'll go back and look at that and see what happened there. Young Wrestler of the Year, Jeff Hardy, is given the award. Veteran Wrestler of the Year goes to Hulk Hogan, who's also in WWF at this point. Female Wrestler of the Year, however, was Manami Toyota, not obviously in the WWF, so a little bit different there. Whereas Manami Toyota, she is in AJW and Gaia Japan. And then Independent Wrestler of the Year is also Manami Toyota, and Manager of the Year was Akira Hakuto. Announcer of the Year, Jim Ross, so WWF getting that one as well. And then Color Commentator of the Year is Nick Parry, who currently works in the UK. So that's a fascinating choice of color commentator of the year. Maybe someone I should look into seeing if they will come in because obviously we've got the money to sign someone like that, although they're only based in Britain, so that's not possible either. Finally, referee of the year is Nick Patrick, who of course is with us. So we did get one award at the year-end awards, and it is for referee of the year, perhaps the least um, prestigious of all of those awards, but ultimately we did get one, so that's all really good. Now you can see there's some news down here as well. Mick Foley is coming up to his last few days with WWF, well, his last 28 days. That's one of the news stories we got notified about in our inbox. And we've obviously got to make a decision on whether we're going to be interested in Mick Foley. Obviously, this is after he's retired from full-time competition, so that makes him a lot less attractive. And we've no idea how good he is in the game, and he will cost a lot of money. So I'm wondering whether or not that's something to steer clear of. And Jerry Lynn has also left the WWF. Now, he's someone I would definitely be interested in, but we have already encountered a problem there, and that is that he's unwilling or unable to negotiate. And the reason for that, quite simply, that he hates me. He hates Eric Bischoff, the guy who's obviously booking WCW. So let me know if anyone watching this knows of a way in which you can change that strong dislike, because obviously Jerry Lynn's got a friendship with Lance Storm. It feels like we should be able to overcome this dislike of Eric Bischoff if we were able to get Lance Storm to mediate in some way. So yeah, if there's a way to change his sort of attitude towards me, then maybe we can get to sign Jerry Lynn, because I think he's somebody that I would like to bring in. But unfortunately, at this point in time, that's not going to be possible. Now, I did say I wanted to look at what was at King of the Ring, so let's start with that. Go down to World Wrestling Federation here, and then we're doing view profile and show history. Sorry about that. King of the Ring then will be all the way down here somewhere. King of the Ring 2001, headlined by another match between Austin and Jericho, which was a 99 rated match, and The Rock versus Kurt Angle in a 100 rated match, and Hogan versus Benoit in a 94 rated match. It also included an interview with The Undertaker that got a 90 rating. That's pretty emphatic, really, and fair enough that got show of the year. Now WWF have done some other business, of course, in 2001, including purchasing a couple of companies. So let's just have a look at this. We are looking for what am I looking for? Company news, I guess. Am I looking for WWF company news? No, that's not it. So you can see that they replaced Steve Austin as figurehead in July, and that's because Steve Austin went off to have a political career. So you can see here from Steve Austin's profile, even though he's currently employed by WWF, he is in politics and has an unknown return date. So there's no telling when Steve Austin might actually come back to the ring, which is fascinating. There's not company news. What am I looking for here? Um, Worker is. I don't know what it is. There should be a some form of news type that will allow me to see. Maybe it's relationships. Apparently not. Uh, Alliances. Nope. Maybe it's other incidents. No, it's none of those things. I can't find what it is. Forget it for the minute. What we'll do is we just talk about it a little bit. So I was trying to kind of get to was ultimately the fact that WWF have bought out a couple of promotions during the year. I wonder if it's in here. So we know, for example, WWC was one of the companies that they bought out recently, the Puerto Rican company, but I don't think it's showing here, which is bizarre. You'd thought that would be a quite important news story, but it's just not there. So yeah, no, it's not there. So okay, fine. They did buy another company. I can't remember who it was now. We've not been tempted to go into doing stuff like that, but um, it need to be the right company for the right price, and I just don't think that it probably exists right now. Just looking at their roster, the WWF roster, there are some new additions. Bart Sawyer is one of them, so he's obviously, you know, he's not going to be considered important by anybody, but he has been brought in. Big Tiger Steel, I don't know anything about this guy. So he's in anyway. Blue Boy, which is the blue meanie, he's in the company. A lot of these are lacking a profile picture because the game's got a bit of a bug in it that does mean that those pictures seem to get lost occasionally. Brock Lesnar they've got in. He's already made his debut. Considered unimportant by the fans, so they haven't really done much with him actually. Let's have a look at his match history. So you can see here, actually, Brock Lesnar's losing matches on Heat here, tag teaming with Funaki. So this is one of the issues with the game, right? The game simply just sometimes does not recognize where someone has huge, extremely high potential. And obviously that should happen. The game should absolutely see that Brock Lesnar has huge potential and therefore should be booked accordingly, but he's just not being booked accordingly right now by the game. Who else have they got? They have got Chains is back into the company. Christian York has been added. Christopher Daniels, so he was someone I wanted to hire but haven't been able to. Considered unimportant by the fans. I'm just seeing. Oh, he's got a long, long time left on his contract, so no real chance for getting him anytime soon. Punk, of course, another guy I would have signed, still nearly a year and a half on his contract. So again, not going to get very much from that. Dave Johnson is with WWF. They've just got a really large roster here. David Flair with the company. Devon Storm, Crowbar, obviously in WCW previously. Already talked about Disco Inferno on the last episode. We have got who else is in this company now? Haku, we would have signed for them actually before the game started, so that's not really news. Urban R. Shyster is back. Amazing. It's back in the ring as well, I believe. So IRS is back in the game and back in the company. That would have been interesting if it happened in real life. And then further down here, we've got Juventud Guerrera has been snapped up by them. He would have been someone I'd have been interested in, I think, before, once I got the backstage elements all sorted out. But he's with WWF. Kevin Nash, as we spoke about on the last episode. Metal Maniac is with WWF. That's interesting. Another kind of indie wrestler who was around for quite a long time, on the indies. We've got PCO has rejoined WWF. I'm not surprised. That seems like something that WWF should have done in real life to me. Um, Given that he had quite a talent, he was quite a talented guy even when he was really young, like in his early days with WWF in the mid '90s. So it surprises me that they didn't ever bring him back. We've got Randy Orton's already come up to the main roster. So again, I imagine they're doing the same thing with him as they were with Brock, and indeed, as you can see, so he's had some matches against some big stars. Kurt Angle, Kane, Hulk Hogan have all fought him, but he's lost every match that he's been in, and they've all been pretty much squashes. And he was on the pre-show of Heat, most recently, and lost to Al Snow in that one. So they're not really using him either. Rip Rogers is with the company as a road agent. Got Rodriguez, this is Rodney. Sandman has been signed. He was somebody I was looking at, but again, they snapped him up. Selena Majors, don't really know who that is. She's with WWF. Steve Keirn, a road agent. Uh, just looking at who else, if there's anybody else. Obviously, the most interesting one, Vampire Warrior now. Gangrel is no more. He's back to being the Vampire Warrior. And then we've also got the Warrior, Ultimate Warrior, with the WWF. And let's just see how he's been booked. So he's been booked loads over the course of the year, and he's won the majority of them by the looks of things. Lost a tag team match there. He lost. Kurt Angle and Rhino beat Warrior and The Rock in a main event of a SmackDown show. Wow, what a match that would have been. Yeah, Warrior's won most of his matches, although William Regal beat the Warrior here to retain the Intercontinental title. So he's kind of a part of their roster as well. So that's the WWF roster. Now in this game world, I should also mention the ECW still exists. So I don't know. There's no explanation, obviously, on the start of the game to ECW, but they do survive in the new world. I don't know whether I've kind of tried to make a backstory for it myself, because the backstory otherwise it doesn't really make sense. Because Paul Heyman has nothing to do with it because he's with WWF, and ECW went out of business. So the way I've explained it is that after ECW went under, they the you know they were never all their trademarks and everything were never bought by WWF, and then someone just revived the company using all the old branding, and for whatever reason that was fine. And you can see they've got a pretty ropey roster. They've got some good sort of road agent types. You've got Harley Race, for example, which is pretty impressive. Bobby Heenan's with the company, working as a color commentator. They've got some of the ECW guys from the past: Axel Rotten, C.W. Anderson, Chris Candido, Chris Hamrick, Danny Doring. That might be it. James Mitchell, Joey Styles, obviously still there. Cronus, um, Nova, Pitbull One, Roadkill. But in general, they've got none of the stars of ECW really. Obviously, all the big stars have gone. I have been thinking about Chris Candido. I don't know if he's got any in this game, whether he's got any personal issues. Um, he's got a hatred of people who aren't really with us anymore, which is good. Doesn't appear to have any problems. That's good news. At least none that have turned up any obvious problems there. So that's potentially something that we'll look at, Chris Candido, because obviously he's a pretty talented guy. But outside of that, I don't think there's anyone else we can really take. And yeah, ECW, you can see from this minus 91,000, they are in financial trouble, and I'm not really sure they've got much going for them. This is a company I could see myself buying, if only to get the titles, but the titles are not the original titles. They are, other titles. And as you can see, Don Callis is one of their champions. In fact, he's last defended in September against Danny Doring, beat Yoshihiro Tajiri, who obviously we signed subsequently. Um, so yeah, not. I think that was in a rush because we were signing Tajiri, and I think they decided we've got to get the title off of Tajiri on someone, and that someone ended up being Callis. So it's not the original ECW titles, which maybe means I won't go anywhere near it. Anyway, Cubal Carmichael is their kind of owner, and their booker is John Rambo. So these two are in charge of this revival ECW, as I've kind of branded it. Let's have a look at the company wars then, shall we, to see where everybody is in the overall rankings. You can see here WWF is top, and then we are in second, but we're still only medium size, which is obviously smaller than New Japan, but New Japan's more contained in terms of their popularity. So they're number 3. Then it's Noah, AAA, and All Japan, as you might imagine, CMML. ECW are 8th, despite their debt, they're 8th. We've got the XWF, which is the company that in reality was the one that Jimmy Hart was pulling together with one or two other guys that my memory is not remembering right now. But in the game, it's still been formed, but by different people. So Rudy Boy Gonzalez is the owner and booker of this company. They've only just formed, by the way, as well. They got going in October 2001, so pretty young. They've got a fair bit of money behind them. But you look at this roster, and again, it is a roster full of nothing very special, really. I mean, they've got just going through. I don't know a lot of these guys. Obviously Cliff Compton. We've got Craig DeGeorge. That's interesting. He's obviously their announcer. Then we've got JC Ice, John Finnegan of ECW fame, Kamala, one of their big stars. Look, considered a major star by the fans. So Kamala's one of the top stars in the XWF. Maven is with the company, so that's interesting. That he's out there doing something. I'm mildly interested by Maven as a guy we might want to be signing. You got Mike Enos, Mustafa Saeed, again, ECW kind of alumni. Nothing special. Roadkill, Ron Harris of Ron and Don Harris fame. Tim Storm, obviously, would go on to be NWA World Champion some years later when he was about 50 years old. Tommy Rich, who was a one-time NWA World Champion, I think, and that's it. That's pretty much it. Yeah, they haven't. I wouldn't say they've got a huge amount of chance of being anything important going forward. Then there's All Japan Women, Michinoku Pro, Gaia Japan, IWRG, All Star Wrestling in the UK. Let's see if they've got just personally interested in this. So they're still using a lot of the old guys from the old era. Danny Boy Collins, Dean Allmark, Dean IS. So they've got here you go. They've got some of the sort of young up and coming guys. Doug Williams is there. James Mason, Johnny Storm. Got a Legend of Doom. That's good. Maybe I could sign him to team him up with the Animal. Marty Jannetty is working for this group. Don't give me ideas. Do not give me ideas. 41-year-old Marty Jannetty potentially coming to WCW in 2002. Who knows? Let's have a look. Let's have a look at his match history. See how well he's doing. He's not wrestled at all, so that's concerning. Have ASW UK even put on any shows? They have. They just haven't used Marty Jannetty. I wonder if he's a recent signing. I don't know, but anyway, yeah, not what I was expecting there. Marty Jones, Phil Powers, Rena Mero. Rena Mero is working for All Star Wrestling. That's amazing. And she's only a manager. That's currently available to work, not injured or absent. But I don't think she's a wrestler, is she? That's the problem here. Yeah, she's not a wrestler. Could I get her? Because if I could get her to join the women's division, I would do it. But I cannot ask her to become an active wrestler again, which is a shame because I would do, and I'd make her one of the stars of our division, at least for a little bit, because she's got real popularity. There's Ricky Knight, Paige's dad. Who else is here? Nobody I'm seeing. Oh, there is Paige's mum as well, Sweet Soraya. And then we've got UK Kane and UK Undertaker working for All Star. Okay, well they are next. They're 14th. Then we've got Sako Pro, TCW, BJW, K Dojo, JPW. Is TCW Texas Turnbuckle Champ? Yes, the one with Dusty Rhodes is run by Dusty Rhodes. So this is interesting. Dusty Rhodes running TCW, Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling. They've still got some money. And they've not got a bad roster, I don't think this is an absolutely terrible roster here. Alison Danger. They're using Barry Windham as well. Interesting. Uh, yeah, there are some. So C.W. Anderson, Daphne, Don Harris, Eric Watts, Glacier, Ice Train, who's also on our roster. Johnny B. Bad, Mark Mero. I guess he's a potential, I guess, for us to look at, maybe. Not sure. Johnny Grunge, Yeah, this is probably a better roster than we've seen in any of the other independent promotions. We've got Leilani Kai, we've got Lodi, we've got Malia Hasaka, Honey Fernandez, Mike Graham, New Jack, Road Warrior Hawk, who I have not brought in to team with Road Warrior Animal, Rocco Rock, Ron Harris, Scott Armstrong, Steve Carino. I think that's a better roster than ECW's got, and definitely better than XWF. So I think they are the best roster outside of WWE and WCW at this point. BGW, K Dojo, JPW, FMW dropped to 20th, so they're really not very big at all at this point in time. Let's have a look at their size. Yeah, just Chubu, where they have 39 popularity, but they've dropped massively in popularity since their mid 90s peak. Xlaw, Toryumon, Mexico, Battle Arts, NWA Wildside, and then there are more. There are loads of promotions in this game. 01, ECWA, WWA, NWA New Jersey, Toryumon Japan, CZW, XPW, DDT. XPW was the MTV one, right? I think. Maybe not. No. Maybe I'm maybe I'm forgetting. This is obviously a different promotion, but they are in deep, deep financial difficulty. Um, I was just looking at this, and I think their roster's pretty good as well. It's obviously an ECW style promotion. Axel Rotten, John Cronus, and again they've got New Jack. They've got Sabu though. Now Sabu is someone I could sign, so maybe he's definitely someone I should consider. Shaggy Two Dope, Tony Jones, yeah, like not amazing, but not a bad roster. I've seen worse, definitely. Or we've already seen worse looking through this today. We have got DDT, Oz, BCW, UPW. I believe that's where John Cena was working at one point. WXW, the German promotion, then. Uh, WAW, so that's another British promotion. That's the one run by Page's family. We got HWA, IWA Mid South, Ohio Valley Wrestling, Premier Wrestling in the UK, Premier Promotions. This is what's left of one of the big, sort of one of the long running promotions from '87. You got GWF, EWW, FWA. So there's another British promotion. This one run by Mark Sloan. NWA UK, CWF, ACW. We've got GBH, who I've never heard of. We've got GBH, who I've never heard of, and they must be some kind of hardcore British promotion. They are, but seemingly good bit of money behind them, and Tammy Sitch working for them. Not quite as bizarre as Sable working for All Star, but all the same. And then we've got SCW, who don't even have a don't Scottish Championship Wrestling don't even have a logo, and seemingly no roster either. In fact, this is an entirely new promotion. It looks like this has been opened by, or they are based in Scotland, but it looks like this might have been opened. Was this a real promotion? It may have been. If it was, I apologize. I don't know anything about it, but they've just opened up in January 2002. ECCW, ICW from Europe. I'm wondering if any of these have. So this was opened in May of 2001. ECCW's been going for a while. PWU, Pro Wrestling Unplugged, another one that started in January 2002, based in Tri-State. And then All Pro Wrestling as well, long time indie promotion. And they don't have a lot going for them. They have some okay wrestlers on their roster. But that is the promotion wars. And that's where everybody in the game, all the different companies in the game are kind of how they're doing. So that's pretty much everything. I guess we can have a quick look at the Power 500, although we're not very high on this. I think Steiner is our top guy, and he's down here somewhere. I was looking through this the other day just to see where our top guy was. And yeah, I can't even find him now. Here we are, 63, Scott Steiner. I don't think that is very realistic, quite frankly, but ultimately it's done on average rating. And, as you can see, lots of other guys have got better, higher average ratings than us. So yeah, not amazing, but I'm not too worried about this. In fact, what I might do is just have a look and see which of our guys are in this, because that way we can see where. So Eddie Guerrero is actually top in WCW, although that was obviously because most of his work was in WWF. So if we ignore him for the minute, Steiner's the wrestler of the year. Then got Sting, Ric Flair, Rick Steiner, Headhunter B, but again, most of that's because of his work in AAA. Lance Storm had a really good year. Bill Goldberg had a good year. Awesome. Booker T, Kurt Hennig, Shane Douglas, DDP, Great Sasuke, working both in WCW and Michinoku Pro. Rey Mysterio Jr., Jeff Jarrett, Vampiro, Sean O'Hare, Buff Bagwell, Jim Duggan, done really well. Lex Luger, Norman Smiley, Chris Canyon, etc., etc. Look, we've not been well represented, I don't think, on that top 100 list with Steiner at 63, but that's probably as a consequence of the way I book, as opposed to the talent we've got in the company. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else in the game world that we need to look at. I don't think there is. I think that's pretty much everything that matters at this point. So that is the wider WW, what am I saying, WW, the wider world that we exist in right now, this new timeline where WCW still exists. The next episode, as we said, is going to go into 2002. I'm still not sure whether I'm going to bring you an initial introductory episode to season 2 for this show, or whether we're just going to go straight into the first Nitro of the year. You'll find out when we present it to you. I do want to kind of go through our roster, and talk about what I'm thinking in the same way as I did at the beginning of the game, the beginning of this season, beginning of the save, when I kind of was looking at the WCW roster and trying to think about what I was going to do. I thought I'd do something similar to that, but obviously with the benefit of having played from May 2001 to the end of 2001, which will be a little bit of a different dynamic. If you have enjoyed today's episode, then please drop us a like. And if you want to continue to follow along with the series and indeed all of the videos on this channel, please give us a subscribe. That has been all for 2001 in this WCW Lives On save. We'll be back with you in some time, not exactly sure when, with the second season delving into 2002. But if you've been watching up to this point, thank you very much, and we'll catch you next time.